Hi everyone, today I bring you a review slash analysis of Tasuku Hatanaka's Twisted Heart. Now, this is a song that I absolutely love because of its 80s vibes. Thank you very much to LS for the suggestion. Extremely classy in his intro. That's the main melody. That's the main melody that goes from start to finish, looping throughout the song and being absolutely awesome throughout. You have that melody is being played in the synth, which gives those strong synthwave or 80s synth pop vibe that I absolutely love. And you have, on contrast, the strings or the chamber music elements that give it a slightly regal, important vibe to the song. It adds some stakes. It sounds like something is at stake in this song. That's a really smooth attack. That's interesting because Tasuku Hatanaka does really have a really smooth voice, and not many people actually pay attention to that, which is I don't understand. But he's really going for those smooth notes. He starts the song really gentle. If you guys paid attention, he really went to join in the song. He didn't need to attack the song really strongly because the song doesn't require that, and it's not really his style of singing. So that's really interesting to have that, at least that consistency in here. And the song really has a beautiful piano melody on top. Now that the scenes are a bit subdued, but still that melody is playing in the background, looping, but not on the spotlight. Funky guitars. That cello is heightening the tension. We're really getting closer to the chorus, and that's because that cello is going bonkers in those bassy notes. Take me away. I don't feel your love, but I can give you love. I don't feel your love, but I can give you love. I'm going to say this. I'm a big fan of 80s music, and this is 80s music without taking anything from there. This reminds me of Sarah Brightman. She has massive songs. She was an artist in the 80s, and this chorus really feels like one of her songs. This composition is really so 80s inspired. Those synths leading the way, those synthetic drums that are pounding in that snare. That's a bassy snare going on in there, so it's making the beat extra punchier and extra warmer, which is really interesting because the strings are not even closer to being warm. That's an harpsichord going on in there as well in the background, which is interesting. Not only a piano but a harpsichord. That's why you have that almost 19th century vibe going on in the song. It sounds, once again, really, I wouldn't say regal, but it has some dated twist to the song. It makes the song sound like it is a bit older than it is. That's a massive synth pop. Yeah. That's a really good drums feel that I really can't not react to, because that's really just snare and boom in the hi-hat, the open hi-hat. That's really really clean, but is, of course, those are not live drums, those are synthetic drums, those are sampled drums. On a live setting, I would love to see this song being performed on a live kit, because this song will sound even bassier and more aggressive played by live drums.
暗闇の声が押し寄せて
Legato strings in the background, an acoustic guitar taking the forefront, which is interesting once again. There's that contrast between light and dark within this song. The acoustic guitars, of course, symbolize the light. Those solemn legato strings in the background, of course, symbolize the darkness. And though that almost like a fight, well, like they are exchanging words between them, because you see the dark parts taking the spotlight and the light parts taking also the spotlight, so they are fighting or vying for that spotlight. It's almost like a dance between both parts. The darkness.
できないほどけないこのミステリー We share this fate 今でも否定できない Don't push me away Don't restrain your voice Now I give you the choice 羽ばたけるような明日を描くよ Don't restrain your voice Now I give you the choice 羽ばたけるように君を見つめる
Let's go. And we're going to the bridge, or given that this song is quite well, it's the bridge. I wouldn't say it's the outro, because the song still has one chorus to go. So this is the bridge of the song. And of course you need to heighten that tension that is going on in the chorus, you need to heighten that tension that is going on in the verses, you need to have that dance between light and dark to come to an end. They need to face each other. So right now you're going to have those two colors, or those two factions or individuals facing each other. And how do you exemplify that? You have the acoustic guitars and the strings and the harpsichord all going on at the same time. They are clashing, they are dancing, they are fighting each other, they are actually facing each other, which is pretty interesting in terms of concept, and especially or particularly interesting because this is a song featured in Moriarty the Patriot, and that conflict actually fits like a glove this song. Pizzicato strings dun, 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 to match his vocals. Let's go. That's the final clash, that's the final stare down. Sounds like darkness is taking a step forward. Somber and melancholic. Let's go. I don't feel your love, but I can give you love. 내가 사면을 요나 유매로 미세대요. I don't feel your love, but I can give you love. 내가 사면을 답이君は 구수레루 이츠카 미츠케다 주대. still gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. That cello. That cello going on in the background is just majestic. That's a beautiful touch to the song. You see a clash from start to finish of light and darkness, and that clash goes on to a stare down in the bridge, which is pretty interesting. Bridge is a section within a song, not the that I am doing any parallel to the anime series, in which there is also a stare down on a bridge. But there's a pretty interesting way that this song was composed. Of course, this song was composed with the theme being the anime series it was going to be featured in. So that conflict, that regal side, that really delicate regal side of the song, is of course to reflect the part that is actually going to off those nobles, and the acoustic guitar adds a little bit of a carefree vibe to the song, which is interesting. You don't need a carefree vibe within a song this aggressive or this intense, but that carefree vibe is actually the contrast that darkness needs, and it works really well within the song, and it actually ends up symbolizing the two main parts in that anime series. So the composition itself was really well done. The song is actually channeling synth pop or synth wave vibes, which is to say 80s music, which I love. And to find this coming from Tasuku Hatanaka, that is an extremely talented singer, was a treat, because his singing tone is really raspy, although he's a tenor, which is to say he does have high notes, but those sound really, really growly, which is pretty unique as far as a singing tone goes. And then he has a really good technique that he can pull off falsetto without an issue. He can go for those vibrato notes or even perform head voice, and he doesn't have any issue whatsoever with those techniques. He's got a good sense of rhythm, he's got a good consistency. It's a pity that he doesn't have that consistency within his career, because his music is all over the place. But when he gets to a point like this one, Twisted Hearts is really, really good. When he gets to this point, you really wish he had more consistency in his career, because he's such a good singer. Incredibly talented, and it feels like his talent is being wasted in songs that really don't reflect the style he has or the technique he has. So that's my take, and I've talked plenty about Tasuku Hatanaka and how his career is really weird as a solo artist. But Twisted Hearts is a massive song. I can understand why it turned into a hit song. I would love to know from those of you that were actually born way after the 90s if this song actually sounds good to you, because this is an 80s inspired song, so it feels nostalgic for me. I don't know for all other people born in the 90s, but this feels nostalgic for me, and it's so good. This is not an imitation of the synth pop sound, this is the synth pop sound, just like it is not reinvented, it is just like it was. It's really, really good, and I really can't understand why this song was so popular. I would love for Tasuku Hatanaka's repertoire to be basically more of these, or something similar, because he does really go for an interesting performance in this song. Of course, he didn't have that much freedom in this song to actually pull off something closer to him, because this is a song that is a tie-up, or it is used as an opening theme for an anime series. So the first 1 minute and 40 is locked to the anime series, and it has to sound like the anime producers asked. But besides that, the song is really consistent, the song is really interesting, the performance is really a standout point, and as a whole, this is a song that I've had looping since I reviewed it. I don't remember when I reviewed this song, probably in the summer. I had this song on loop for more than a couple of days after I had reviewed the single itself, because the song is really, really good. The single itself, Twisted Hearts, is really interesting. There's plenty of new ideas going on in there. There's an attempt to showcase Tasuku Hatanaka as a versatile singer and performer, and there's songs, the other songs within the single do not sound the same as Twisted Hearts. That's something to have into attention. But still, it is an interesting single. The song itself, suggestion by LS, is pretty awesome. That's one of my all-time favorite songs of Tasuku Hatanaka. Of course, it does have pretty good songs in previous releases, but nothing as nostalgic and as awesome as this one. That's really the track for me. That's really the sound that I love to find in pop artists. Although a bit dated, I do love synth pop and 80s inspired music, and Tasuku Hatanaka really nailed it with the Twisted Hearts, while at the same time giving it a dated vibe, but to the early 20th century or even 19th century, which is interesting with the addition of the harpsichord, although really in the background. All in all, Twisted Hearts is a really awesome song. I reckon it's the best song released by Tasuku Hatanaka to date. Some fans will say, no, but the ballads. I can understand you, and no, but Fighter is an awesome album, and it is. But Twisted Hearts is the song for me. It's really the vibe that I love. Not to say that the other stuff he's released is bad or anything, because I love a lot of his previous work, especially the Fighter album. It's pretty much spotless, but Twisted Hearts is really that song for me. It's really good. And well, this is my reaction slash analysis of this song. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and once again, thanks to LS for the suggestion. This is really a good song.